Hello, everyone. My name is Mr. Jameson, and welcome to Walnut High School's Back to School Virtual 2020 edition. A little bit about me to start off with. I am a product of the Walnut Valley Unified School System, VEHAR to Suzanne to Walnut High School in 1990. I then graduated from the University of Arizona in 1995 with a degree in broadcast journalism. Was credentialed as a teacher in the state of California by California State University, Dominguez Hills in 2003, and a master's in education, secondary education, from Grand Canyon University in 2012. But I think the thing that might be more relevant to some of you in terms of about me is the fact that I'm also a Walnut High School parent, just like you. I have a fifth grader over at CJ Morris and a seventh grader over at Suzanne. So I've been kind of seeing not just over the last few years how my colleagues do things, how my children respond as students, but also this distance learning thing, how they're responding to things and some of the activities and so on and so forth. And there they are. Graduation. It's really not that far away. Yeah, we're getting closer. We need to make sure we're all ready on their side and our side. Some of the things that we will be using online will include Socrative for quizzes, Common Lit for additional supplementary materials. We also have things like Pear Deck, Flipgrid, trying out the Ed Puzzle. But it all will revolve around Google Classroom. Google Classroom is our hub that everything else revolves around. I am Google Classroom certified. Did that even before we even needed to have this. So this has been a little bit easier. I mean, I think I know a few tricks that maybe a handful of my colleagues maybe don't. Sophomore assignments will include essay writing, of course, reading challenging literature. First semester, we're going to kind of do more real world to literature, how literature connects to the real world. And this does kind of veer us into politics. We will attempt to be as nonpartisan or bipartisan, depending on how you want to view that, as we possibly can be, as neutral as we can be. But some of these pieces, for example, the first piece they're looking at called Animal Farm does require some knowledge of politics and history in order to properly understand the book. But again, I hasten to add, we are attempting to be as nonpartisan or as neutral as can possibly be imagined, as I can manage, and just get them to think about what's going on, get them to come to their own conclusions, not anything I am telling them. That's not at all the case. If they want to disagree with me on some of these kinds of elements, I'm totally okay, as long as they can back it up, as long as they can do things the right way. Second semester will be a proper standard research paper. There will be, of course, presentations, both group and solo, even online. They kind of already did one of those, kind of flipped around, did that with a Flipgrid. And as the year and semester goes along, it will be much more student driven and less of me doing this and more of them talking and teaching each other. The literature, as you can see there, it's Animal Farm, Julius Caesar, which is this year's Shakespeare, Fahrenheit 451, which you might remember being a lot about censorship, but that's only part of the equation, and Lord of the Flies, classic pieces of literature. Ending on this note. So that is my email address in case you don't already have it. Everyone has switched over to the wvusd.org, but our old emails still work, at least for now, forwarding over to that. I don't personally think that doing read-alongs in class is the most effective usage of our time. I'd rather assign a chapter and give them a few days to read it on their own. That being said, I do understand that a lot of, really some students, some of your children may need that auditory element. They may need to hear those books as they're reading. My oldest daughter needs this sometimes. And so audiobooks can be extremely helpful for some of them. You can, of course, go with Audible, great quality from them. You do have to pay for it. I believe still. YouTube has a lot of that stuff for free. Amongst all the garbage that's on YouTube, there is a massive amount of educational materials in there. And one of those things that I think can be very useful, and I've used it with my daughter, is the audiobooks. Reading along has made it a lot easier for her in certain things, and it could be super useful for some of your children out there. As far as you go, see if you can get your email added to the parent portal if it hasn't been already. Get it added to my classroom. Contact me if you want to get it added in. It just provides another layer of communication, another way that we can connect, that I can forward you information and make sure that your child is staying, focused on the up and up, taking care of their business so that they can get to that graduation slide we saw earlier. Okay. If you have questions, feel free to email me. If you have anything else, we are here. We are practically tied to our computers right now. So don't be afraid to drop us a note and let us know if there's something you need. Okay. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And have a good rest of your evening.